All right, Brett. I'm interested because when you were absolutely flying, you owned between 65 and 70 horses with David Lovell.
Yeah.
Now, that must have cost an absolute fortune.
Well, the most we had at one time is 17, I think. But the ins and outs, we used to have them, gamble them, give them to the riding for the disabled, you know. Because after we had one go with them, they were not a lot of good to us anyway.
Yeah, but that would cost you, what, £400 a week each to keep in training?
At least. We used to budget for £1,000 every 2 weeks per horse. That's vet's bills. We were on a good thing with him at the time. I think the horses were £225 basic per week. So we was there from day one. So
you got yourself a few quid. You didn't have to go and win it that next week to pay for your bills.
No, that was never the case. And to be honest with you, Tim was up and coming at the time with his family. I would never do that. You know, I would never. That's not me at all. If I asked somebody to do something, I got the money for them. You know, and as soon as the money was getting scarce or next month was potentially, difficult, I'd pull the plug.
Yeah, so you were buying these horses predominantly to gamble on, rather than to breed and
never bred horse in a life.
No, so what would be your tactics then? Where would you get the horses from, and what would you?
Me and Tim would go to the races. Dave would just stay in the office as usual. We'd claim in race. We'd have a runner probably. We'd claim the second, the fifth, the third. Might claim 3 or 4 after that. Tim would take them back home. He'd gallop and he'd say, this horse needs 3 weeks, this horse needs 6 weeks, 3 and 6 weeks. That's when they'd go to the races.
So it's anticipating that Tim would be good enough to improve them. So you choose certain yards you'd buy them from so Tim can improve them?
Yes, we would do that. But there'd be more case of there's yards we wouldn't take them out of, other than yards we would.
Would that be because you didn't think you could improve on Martin Pipes? Or
that's exactly, like David Pipe is a prime example who we wouldn't, Like, we have had a couple from Nicky Henderson's, but that's not because we think we can improve them. We think they're no good to him, and they'd be all right for us, if, that sort of thing. But there are yards impossible to improve, as you.
And when you were buying all these horses, was it in your minds that you would actually make it pay, or was it because you had so much money you were just having fun?
But we would make it pay, and we did make it pay, but it was so much fun, absolutely so much fun. Just great, like you turn up and like everybody be looking at you, and you're the William Mills man, his name escapes me now, like, oh, Brett, you're from Tim's, like, we'd be talking on the phone to the head office or something, like, and like, just absolutely great, like tremendous, phenomenal time in my life.
And what were some of the most memorable winning gambles?
Rower bet at Southall was very good. We had a footwell full of money coming home. There's been some astronomical ones. It was the biggest touch we tried to have was a horse called Rosnick at Wincanton, and Alan Jones produced something to beat us 3/4 of a length with 26 lengths back to the third, 2 mile 20 runner, top of the ground. But Rosnick went on to win a few races after. There's a couple I've had from other stables, which the BHA have been interested in, but you know what I mean, I'm not so.
But what was your tactics then to get these horses lined up for a touch? Because you obviously got to keep something under wraps.
Yeah, what we used to do, 90% of the horses, we'd claim them. Tim would do his best to get them fit, get into their heads, phenomenally good at it, and that was that. And then, later on we'd give them away. We, if they were quiet, we'd give them to the riding for the disabled, things like that. But like every horse we ever bought, there was a purpose.
You had a plan for it.
Well, not a plan mapped out, but we'd be buying them with a plan in mind.
Yeah. Now you do you want to talk about the Hereford one?
I can tell you the truth. I can tell you the truth about it.
This is what we like, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you the truth about it. Delith Thomas was on the TV, and on the Betfair forum they were saying things like the most poisonous woman alive. I can swear on my children's life, she told the truth. It was absolutely 100. What she said.
For what people don't, for people that don't know, tell us a story.
She took a horse from Tim's that was David's, and she took 14 or whatever, 14 days, whatever the amount of time, plenty of time anyway. The horse was in her yard because the BHA have gone and filmed it. You know, they took Tim's CCTV. It was in her yard. They had the shoulder, something done with the shoulder. A gentleman who worked for Tim also worked for Delith, told me the story, and we took our chance. And you know, it was a bit of a kerfuffle with jockey change, etc., etc.
Go on then, give us the kerfuffle.
Well, it was down for Dino to ride, and first of all he said he broke down, then something happened to his gran, then he went to the dentist. But anyway, Richard Johnson's taken over, and I think he's won 25 lengths or something. And my wife was with me. She just started dating at the time. She's had £100 on, and I thought to myself, that's the end of that. Like, I can't get rid of her now, can I? And they were all booing in Hereford, but like there was no, like nothing, no rules were broken. The BHA, like, question, I had my phone records and everything. No rules were broken. Yours needs to be away 21 days or 14, I'm not sure, but it was away all that time. It was all in Delith's name, and if Delith walked in by there now, she wouldn't know who I was.
And did you back it all on course? Or something?
Not a penny. Not a penny on course. I remember Neville Emery, who's quite a good friend of mine. They've interviewed him, and he said the people behind this, or the people involved who would be involved with this, are a good punter of mine, and he would lay me. He would have laid me like 13,000 or 2 or whatever. And like he said, he hasn't had a shilling on, and I hadn't on course. Certain bookmakers tried not to pay. Why? Nothing's wrong. Like, nobody's broken any rules. You know, if an horse improves, when a horse improves, go into Tim's. But this horse had a shoulder problem or something. I'm not up to date with all things like that, but like, I knew he was not injured, but he had problems before, and the problem had gone.
So the bookies anticipated that it was gone from Tim, yeah, for the wrong reason, and it's gone. And you got paid. Everybody paid you in the end, even the ones.
No idea to this day. I can remember stopping in a lay-by. Cornelius Lysett was on the radio, and he's saying, "Oh, a big gamble at Hereford today," and I got a piece of the Racing Post, and people were saying, "Right, this is what I've had for you," which I previously said, but I didn't have a clue. So if he'd missed any out, I still wouldn't know. Did we get all the money? Still don't know.
So how much would you have copped? Rough estimate.
I can't remember, to be honest with you. I know Dave was playing
10 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand.
It'd be 6 figures.
6 figures.
It'd be 6 figures. Between me and Dave. Well, they're saying that between me and Dave and a few other people. Not a few other people, like close friends. Close friend who, you know, who I would like put on and tell them they've won. If you know what I mean, like.
Yeah. And you had another claim to fame. You're the only connections, as far as I know, that have ever jocked off Tony McCoy.
Yes, I don't know any. It was a Sunday afternoon. Richard Johnson was at Towster, Tony McCoy at Fontwell. And Towster was abandoned, so Richard Johnson had gone to Fontwell to ride a couple of horses. Well, AP was on one of ours in the last. And Tim had rang. He said, "Do you want to jock AP off and put Dickie on?" I said, "Well, he's our jockey. You know, he rides for us." And me and Dave were laughing. And 20 minutes later, over the SIS Tannoy, jockey change at 5:25 Fontwell, horse whatever. Richard Johnson replaces Tony McCoy, and like I said, and Dickie said he'd never replace McCoy unless he's injured ever. You know. Ever before.
Now, when the betting and running sort of started to come to an end, Could you foresee that this empire of horses was going to have to go before it got messy?
Yes, not so much before it got messy. Like, you know, I think the world of Tim and Abby and the family there. Me and Dave had a conversation about it to say, like, you know, other than leave them and we owe them 3 months, 4 months, whatever, the sensible thing to do is get rid of the horses here and now. And that's what we done. You know, it's no fun owing people. I don't know anybody. I don't want to owe anybody. I definitely don't want to put them in problems because I can't pay.
So now, sort of what, 10 years later,
Yeah.
that easy source of revenue isn't there anymore with,
Oh.
with the in-running. So do you ever wake up in cold sweats thinking about the money that went through your hands owning all those horses that maybe you could have bought a row of houses or something?
Yeah, could have Simon, you know, now I got a couple of children. Should I have done that? Yeah, I should have. But what a great time, like me and Dave had, you know, and if it happened again tomorrow, something of that nature come along, would I go down the horses again route? Yeah. You know, great, brilliant time in my life.